boy was last known to be out riding his bicycle and was the final known victim of Dean Corll. Brooks described having spent a bit of time with the child and bringing him a pizza. He claims he wasn't there for the rape or murder. Stanton called his folks to tell them he had gone to a party across town and would be back soon. Instead, this last known victim would be the first to be unearthed. Corll was contemplating leaving town. His mother would later describe how he told her he was going to quit his job as an electrical relay tester at Houston Power and Light and join her in Colorado. She hadn't seen him in the 5 years since she left Texas and never would again. His on and off girlfriend also reported that Corll had approached her about joining him with her 2 sons, but he ultimately rescinded the offer. Only 5 days after Stanton Dramala went missing, Wayne brought his friend Timothy Curley, age 19, over to the Pasadena house, and his friend Rhonda tagged along. She had issues in her family and was looking to spend the night away from home as she'd been fighting with her drunk father. Wayne and Rhonda were longtime friends. On this day, August 8, 1973, she had been recuperating from a foot injury she suffered during teenage antics. Wayne caught up with her, spiriting her away for the night. Wanting to cheer her up, he took Rhonda along to finish delivering Tim Curley to be sexually tortured, but under the guise of partying all night. Who knows if he was willing to risk Rhonda's life, as he had her beloved fiancé Frank Aguirre the previous spring. Corll was so angry that a girl was in his house that he was ready to get rid of Wayne Henley. It was only when the teen told him that they could rape and kill his friends together that the teen was unbound. As Corll prepared to rape Tim, Henley grabbed a gun and aimed it at him, as the man taunted the teen about how he wouldn't do it, but he did. He would later say, quote, "It was either me or him right then." Relieved, he untied Tim and Rhonda and called Pasadena police. When they questioned him about the sex toys, torture board, and sadistic implements, he explained that he'd killed a rapist and a murderer. By the next day, Wayne had the police out at Stall 11 at Southwest Boat Storage, though they were skeptical of his claims about missing boys buried there. Marty Jones' cousin, a Houston police officer, was present at the boat stall after having only found out a few days before that his young relative was missing. He would later take his own life. The victims revealed themselves and their last moments alive like a punch to the stomach. Some of the boys still had ropes or cords tightly around their necks. Henley said one of the victims would be discovered in the fetal position. Sheets of plastic and powdered lime had been spread in between the boys to help with the smell. As he had yet to admit his own involvement, Wayne spoke freely and police weren't treating him as an accomplice. And since he seemed to have murdered this heartless killer in self-defense, everyone just grew more and more interested in what he had to say. But the officers first on scene did overhear a weeping Henley tell Tim something like he could have gotten money for him, and they planned to ask him about it. This episode is brought to you by Honey, the free browser extension that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. We're all shopping online, it seems, probably more than ever, and nothing feels better than having a promo code to use when it's time to check out. Once installed, using Honey is effortless. When shopping on your favorite sites, the Honey button will drop down and all you have to do is click Apply Coupon and Honey will start the search. In the past 2 weeks alone, I've saved over $27 on shirts I bought my husband for Valentine's Day and his birthday, and I can't wait to do the same for myself. With Honey, it's like shopping for free. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online and has found its over 17 million members over $2 billion in savings. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free and installs in a few seconds, and by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this podcast. Get honey for free at joinhoney.com/warbaby. That's joinhoney.com/warbaby. Shopping is about to get fun again. Investigators soon met Corll's other accomplice after he came to the police with his father the next day. Soon after Brooks showed up, it became fully evident that the teens were more involved in the Houston mass murders than it had first appeared. With 2 informants, police quickly heard about the burial sites out at High Island Beach as well as at Sam Rayburn Lake. There was a body or 2 exhumed that Henley didn't even know about, but he also insisted that more bodies were buried at the beach, though police stopped looking. Some identifications were easy because driver's licenses and social security cards along with other belongings were buried with some of the victims. A bag full of clothes was also found. Physical attributes and dental records played a crucial role as well. When the news broke, parents from all around the area and the country began calling the Houston police or sending information about their missing sons in hopes that their remains would be uncovered in the search. There were those in the community that felt police had only stopped searching because the number of bodies found had surpassed 25, breaking the current record for mass murder that was held at the time by Juan Corona out in California. In fact, the teen accomplices claimed that Corll had told them he had killed in California by himself while briefly serving in the Army prior to the opening of the candy company in 1965. People were fairly certain that more victims were out there. Negative publicity surrounding police conduct and the runaway theory exploded, leading Houston Mayor Lewis Welch to say, quote, "Police can't be expected to know where a child is if his parents don't." A few days after news broke about the killings, various police officials made statements, the chief saying that they'd done what they could, but that the department was under no obligation to do anything at all. Under Texas law, running away was not a crime, meaning police would not track you down and didn't, quote, "have responsibility by law nor the authority to make criminal cases out of runaways." He pointed out that the department was understaffed by roughly 200 officers, though he also infamously refused to accept federal funds to help beef up his numbers, as every other city police department in the country did. The chief stated, quote, "There will never be enough staff to check out constantly and consistently on each and every one of these cases." Another spokesman said that police had noticed nothing amongst this cluster of disappearances to connect them, adding that, quote, "We probably could not have saved a single life. Most of these boys were dead before we ever got a report of their being gone." The governor implored with Texas runaways watching the news to do the right thing and get in touch with their families to tell them they were alive. Both of the teen accomplices made several verbal and written confessions over the first few days, and most were ruled admissible in court. All told, Brooks and Henley had attended the same middle school as 11 of the victims. Elmer Wayne Henley Jr. was charged with 6 counts of murder and faced sentences of life in prison. In 1973, the death penalty could only be applied in the instances of murder in connection of a felony or murder of a peace officer. Henley was found guilty in July of 1974 and was sentenced to 594 years in prison, or 6 sentences of 99 years to be served consecutively. An appeal was filed and granted, and a new trial took place in 1979. However, he was found guilty again and received the same sentence. In 1997, 21 of 23 paintings done by Henley were sold during a show at a gallery in Houston, while parents and family of some of his victims picketed outside. In 2016, a Facebook page in his name sprung up, controlled by someone on the outside. It was shut down after prison officials subpoenaed the social media company. David Owen Brooks was charged with 4 murders but only went to trial for murdering Billy Lawrence. He was found guilty, receiving life in prison. He also appealed his conviction, however, his request was denied. According to a 2006 interview, the daughter he was expecting when arrested in 1973 visited him throughout her childhood, though she died in a car crash on her prom night. Brooks became eligible for parole in 1979 and was denied over a dozen times before his final appearance in 2018. By then, only the parents of Stanton Dremala were alive, and they applauded the denial as well as the requirement that 10 years pass before he could go before the board again. That day won't come, however, because Brooks died in prison from COVID-19 on May 28, 2020 at 65 years old. Elmer Wayne Henley Jr., who'll be 65 in 2021, remains incarcerated in the Michael Unit of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Prison in Tennessee Colony, Texas. He was last denied parole in 2015 after becoming eligible in 1980. In 2025, he will be reviewed again, though it remains unlikely he'll ever be released. He's spoken out a few times over the years and told filmmaker Tina Schaefer Porras for her documentary Decisions and Visions, quote, "I'm not a serial killer. I was an ignorant, stupid child." And another filmmaker, who was given access to a trove of Henley's personal belongings from his teenage years, discovered a photo of a terrified, handcuffed boy, thought to be a victim but yet to be identified. In 2008, Hurricane Ike ravaged the Gulf Coast of Texas, submerging the portion of High Island Beach that was the deadly trio's personal graveyard. Any victims still there, such as Mark Scott, shall likely remain. Sharon Derrick, a forensic anthropologist with the Harris County Institute of Forensic Scientists, was instrumental in correctly identifying remains with new technology, giving several of these families peace of mind that their loved one could be properly laid to rest. She even interviewed Brooks in prison in 2008, and he told her, quote, "I wish I had told my mother what he was doing to me. If I had told her, I wouldn't be here now." In one of Henley's written confessions, he said, quote, "I tried to tell my mother 2 or 3 times about this stuff and she just wouldn't believe me. I even wrote a confession one time and hid it, hoping that Dean would kill me because the thing was bothering me so bad." Brooks made it clear early on that Henley seemed to like causing pain to their victims and that he was sadistic, and Henley seemed to agree in the Conaway article, telling him, quote, "You either enjoy what you do, which I did, or you go crazy. So when I did something, I enjoyed it and I didn't dwell on it later." Jimmy Glass's brother told author Skip Hollandsworth that Corll, quote, "didn't just kill 27 boys. He killed 27 families."